Hello and welcome into Fantasy Focus Football. My name is Daniel Dopp, here with my two best friends.
We're here just like the tight ends in the NFL. I don't know where I'm going with
Yeah, I don't know either. My name is Daniel Dopp, here with Mike Clay, here with Field Yates.
Anthony Richardson. Who else does that? You never know if he's going to show up.
You
There's
know
a joke here.
Wow,
somewhere.
it's like
I'm holding the fort on Anthony Richardson. Like I understand it's been a crap 2 weeks, but I just want to make it clear I am holding the fort. I do believe that Richardson and better days are ahead. I'm not optimistic it's this weekend against the Steelers defense because they look
Right.
You always make the joke when you're talking about how good or bad a defense is that they either are or are not the 85 Bears. Right now, the Steelers kind of look like the 85 Bears with the way they are playing defense.
That's true.
I also want to make a point about something that I want you guys to hold me accountable on.
Uh-oh.
And maybe the audience that watches as opposed to the audience that listens can do as well. Obviously, right now, I am playing one-handed, right? I'm still in a sling for 2 more weeks, although I did have a very positive recheck yesterday. So
Love to hear that. Love to hear that.
With
All
my
right, that's good
shoulder.
because like when we hear that, then I know I'm like clear to make fun of him.
Yeah,
That's the arm because everything. If it was like a serious issue, then I wouldn't, or,
Yeah, so
or I
2 more
would. I
weeks-
don't know. Who knows?
2 weeks from today, I will be out of this sling, and I will be thrilled about that. I noticed something, though, because someone sent me a segment that I was in, and I'm doing this thing. I'm overcompensating right now, and I'm going to demonstrate this on video.
Okay.
I found myself talking with my left hand
Just over.
so much. Like, I talk with my hands. We all do. It's television
Yeah.
to a degree. But I found that, like, my left hand is trying to make up for the sum that it normally accounts for from right and left. So I am trying today to keep my left hand parked on my knee and not talk as much with just one hand.
I love it.
Once you get out of the sling, then your left arm's gonna be like, it's so sore now. Like it's
That's
so
it.
weird.
I tell you what, oh, God.
You're going to be like the guy, was it 50 First Dates, where like now your left arm is going to be so much bigger than your right arm as a part of that?
Great movie. Adam Sandler was also awesome on the Kelce's podcast recently. Wait, by the way, insert guest on the Kelce's podcast, and they were awesome.
And they were really good.
So damn good.
So excited to be here with you guys. Mike Clay, you obviously played the Mark Andrews role for last week because it feels like you didn't show up in any of the things that we did.
Yeah, you know what? I saw that we were going to talk about our what do you call them?
Board bets? Yep.
Convenient that it just so happens to be this week. We forget about all the times I win, but the time I go 0-2,
I don't
it's
know
just
what
right at the top of the note. Like I feel attacked by you guys. I feel attacked by the producers, management across the board. So it's painful.
It's really unfair, and we're going to have some fun in a moment.
Yeah, we're going to talk rankings. By the way, we got a huge rankings show. I should
We'll
just
get to
mention
that.
that. We're going to
We'll
get to a bunch of
people.
football.
And I think most people who watch this get this. Mike is kind of like our local heel now.
Yeah.
Like on this in FF now. And I'm saying this like 100% seriously. I have no idea what I would do without Mike.
I agree.
I truly mean that. Like Mike is like the best fantasy analyst I've ever met. It's not close. There's no one who I defer to more if I have a trade question and I just can't decide. The edge is always going to go to where Mike lands. Do you agree with this, Daniel?
100% agree with it.
Obviously, and everybody knows how I feel about Daniel as well. But I wanted to make sure that I get my mic. So just people know that, like, here's the we were talking about this before the show, the three of us were like, we've got some teams right now that are absolute disasters. And it sucks. People think that because we do what we do, we're supposed to have dominant fantasy teams across the board. And you know what? Turns out not all of them are.
Nope.
Some of these teams are hot garbage.
So good.
And sometimes your teams that are terrible get lucky.
Yep.
And I got lucky against Mike this week. Thank you, Juwan Jennings.
I
got
that.
Jawan Jennings.
Yes.
I'm with all of you who got Jawan Jennings. When the worst team in your league just were like, I need somebody. I need anybody at receiver. I'll add Jawan Jennings and just hope for a miracle. And
Yes.
you got a miracle for
Correct.
sure.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that before we go into some of the things that did not work out in Mike's favor this week.
I think we need to do this every week. Like I'll come in Wednesday. You guys say a couple nice
And
things
a
about
few
me,
nice
set
things
the
off the
table,
top.
and then just come
Dunk
at
on
me
you
all the way through Sunday show. 'Cause that's what you're gonna do anyway.
We wouldn't make
I'm here
fun of
for
you
it.
as much as we did if we didn't love you as much as we do, Mike, because it would
You're-
feel
I
uncomfortable.
don't mind at all.
So
I have an explanation for all of my takes, so I don't care. Bring it. Like I don't come at me.
all right, I love it. Okay,
Now that you
Mike.
said
All right,
that.
here we go. Let's kick things off with the opening drive. Fields, you talked about that team that was maybe the worst fantasy football team ever created in the history of fantasy football. How'd you end up doing here in week 3?
I won.
Oh, what?
So not only did I beat Mike,
You must
but
have
I
been playing
also
a-
won.
oh, you're playing
So
Mike.
I beat Mike. He got Jawan Jennings, and as a result of this, I also got a victory in victory points. This league, the top 6 each week in scoring get a win, plus the head-to-head winners get a win. So I went 2-0 for the week, and my team, which mostly was just Jawan Jennings, put up 126. Because I'm telling you people, look at the rest of this roster, and it is not dominant at all. Jared Goff was fine. My normal starting quarterback is Jordan Love in that league. So that's not ideal, not having your starting quarterback.
Nope.
Michael Pittman Jr. has been a non-factor. It was a bad week for Zay Flowers.
Shad White, another
Pat
back-to-back.
Freiermuth was dominant with 7.3 fantasy. And that's dominant right now.
At the
for
tight end
ends,
spot,
to be
yeah.
Clear.
Unreal. You got nothing there, and you still like if you got 20 from Jennings, I beat you.
Correct.
You got 45 points, and I'm looking at my team. I'm like, that's not a bad team. Like I've heard some Bijan and like Evans and
Yeah.
like Ridley, JSN. I'm missing my tight end who's hurt. Like I don't have I think Nakua's on my IR, so that hurts me there. I think that's the league where I have him. So I feel like my team is good, and I just got crushed by Jennings.
Can I just read one more time? Okay, I had the one spot. All right.
Okay.
One spot.
Oh, look
in
at
this
that,
league.
Fields. You got a crown for being able to beat Mike. How good is that? Love it.
Love this.
Love that.
Awesome. I'm just going to sit here and just smile first.
Just soak in that.
So the one spot. This is like. Just imagine. Like, tell me which pick you like out of the picks that I made with my first 10.
Let's grade him.
Christian McCaffrey.
That's a C.
C.
That's probably an F right
It's
now.
an F. Right.
It's an F for now, yeah.
Rashad White at 24.
That's looking like a D
that's a
right
good
now,
D.
unfortunately.
Michael Pittman Jr.
That's
That's
maybe
a
an
D
F.
so far.
T. Higgins. This was when he was healthy.
Yeah, you got some maybe.
I mean, yeah, he played a lot in week 3. Like
but
so
for
far,
a
so
week.
bad. But
Yeah.
Thank you. Listen, just keep it up with the so far so bad. I like that.
Okay.
Beyond that, Zay Flowers,
he's fine. 28% target share.
Christian Watson,
Terrible. F.
no F.
Good.
Brian Robinson Jr.
Oh, he's
pretty
been
good.
That's a B.
Been okay.
That's pretty solid right there.
Yep.
Jordan Addison, hurt.
Nope.
No
F.
F.
Yep.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Good last week, but we'll say
He
no.
was
I
on
mean,
my
he's
bench.
barely
To be clear,
playing.
on
So
my
you're not.
bench
You
last
can't
week.
start. He's
Yes.
unstartable. So D.
Jordan Love.
Well, he's
Yeah,
hurt. So
it's
good.
been not great.
Pat Freiermuth was my 11th round pick.
That's like one of your best picks.
So far,
he's not.
T.J.
He's
Hawkinson in the
barely
12th
not
round. That
startable.
one was sweet.
Yeah.
And then just to make fun of me, Marshawn Lloyd on IR.
yeah.
Josh Reynolds, who I think has been cut already.
Oh.
Harrison Butker.
Nope.
And Falcons defense. Guys,
Wow.
put together a worse draft than I did
Holy
in a
cow.
12-team league.
Yeah, that's tough.
that's brutal.
It's like not like you think about it, you're like, where is the mistake? Like, it's just like everybody's hurt, or it's just like out of your control.
Underperforming.
I would say
Yeah.
that like
There's a couple in there, but
there's
like
I would say you could make the case that only one player of that group is overperforming relative to expectations. And that's Brian Robinson Jr. And even that's a flimsy case. Like we all thought he was like a top 25-ish back. He's been a little bit better than that. But every player on that team, other than Jawan Jennings, who I added on waivers, has been underperforming or hurt.
yeah.
So, you can't win them all, right? I'm here to tell you, that's my biggest regret as far as a draft goes ever in fantasy.
yeah, I just think the sport has changed so much that it's so high variance now, and I feel like the extra game they added it actually makes it harder as well, which is weird because you think the larger sample would help. But I mean, I used to literally like make the playoffs in every league I was in and win championships in half of them, and that's like a little less now. It's not as I have
only
more
win
dud
championships.
teams. I just have more dud teams now. The game is just harder than ever because there's more variance than ever before.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Now that I've finished dunking on my team, I just tweeted out the link to the show. I didn't want the people on Twitter to join and hear about how crappy my team is.
Okay.
Oh, that's
about my
now,
stuff
that's good.
That's smart. All that's cut out. Yeah. So you said nice things about me.
Yep.
and then talked about your bad drafting, and now we can
And now people can start
Correct.
the show.
Now we can start
That's
the
how
show.
that
We're
works.
now available on Twitter.
Let's take a look real quick at the Fantasy Focus League standings. We're going to throw that up on
No,
the
thank-
screen here
no,
for
thank
those
you.
that are. Well, I mean, Mike, that's only if you want.
For the record, I was picking up my girls from school during this draft, so I have some work to do to get this one fixed.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is that you just weren't invested in this. Miller Lite Mike, let's see where are you at.
It's Jackson Agello at the very top, our producer.
Look at the three of us. I'm 10th, Fields 11th, Mike's 12th. That's not good.
I at least have an excuse. Okay?
Of course, Stefania Bella's in second. She obviously
Wasn't it the
knows
draft?
everything that she's
I
doing.
have an excuse too. I had the number 1 pick. That's my excuse. I got cursed.
That's all right. I'm going to bounce back. It was just, and my team isn't that bad on paper.
Liz Loza's third. Shout out to Griffey Cakes being 4. Griffey sent out a great comment to everyone saying that he would trade Travis Kelce for a Taylor Swift shirt in this league. Just hoping he gets anything there. We love Griffey, though.
McCaffrey, I'll take Travis Kelce. I have trivia for you guys.
Okay.
And it ties into what we've been talking about. Can you name every tight end that has scored 8.0 or more fantasy points in each week this season?
In every week, has anyone done it? None. No, nobody.
I think I would also say no.
Kyle Pitts? Maybe?
Nobody.
Nobody. That's what I thought.
Nobody. Think about how dire that spot is right now.
The opposite of what we thought, too.
Yes. So just in future years, when we tell you tight ends stink, draft all of them.
They're really
They're
good.
gonna mash.
They're really
By the way, that kind of applies across the board too. So it's not just happening. It's more. It seems more definitive at tight end because there's only a handful of guys and they're all so bad. But it really is a problem at every other position too. I mean, scoring is just drastically down, and it's really affected the tight end position.
Agreed.
Let's take a look really quick. We had a couple of board bets we just got to pay off too.
No,
as a
we
part of
don't.
this. Just real fast, Mike. We'll just
I
do
know,
it really
we're
quickly.
doing this all the time.
We had we should do it all the
Well, yeah,
time.
every
We
week
should.
we do
I'm
it.
with you
No,
on
we
that.
don't. We do it when it's convenient to.
Well, now, you know what? You
Okay.
have my word. We'll do this.
All right, good.
Wednesdays will be board bet
Yeah.
days.
So we had Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk was going to finish outside the top 10. Field said yes. Mike said no. In fact, Field got that one right. Brandon Ayuk did not finish. Excuse me, top 11.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk did not
Stand by
finish
my
top
process
11.
there. The other receiver had 45 points, and also Ayuk had like a 38% target share or something in this game. He should have finished top 12. But
Yeah, I said this yesterday or Monday, whenever it was, and I stand by it, is I am getting a comparable vibe right now between Brandon Ayuk and Garrett Wilson with their quarterback dynamics in this regard.
Yep.
Is that I just don't think the chemistry is quite there. And
which is weird because like, last year he was like maybe the most efficient per play receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, so I have confidence in the case of both of them that they can get there. The issue is that when they get there is very, very integral to that success. And the other part is that you didn't draft those guys.
Can't take you seriously right now with the
crown.
the crown on
Oh, the crown's back there?
It's still on you.
And the other part of it is when you drafted these players, you drafted them to have 17 weeks worth of great value.
Yep.
Not like, hey, he started cooking from week 6 on. Ayuk and Purdy should get there, but I really believe a month missed of training camp has directly impacted the start to Brandon Ayuk's season. It's what seemingly could be a matchup where they can score points on Sunday against the Patriots, but are they going to do so by attacking Christian Gonzalez with Brandon Ayuk? We'll find out. Read more of Mike's wide receiver cornerback column, of course, on ESPN.com.
We also had one other board bet, and it was also between Mike and another player, or another person on this cast. It was me. We were talking about Patrick Mahomes. I said Patrick Mahomes will not be a top 5 scorer. Mike said he would be a top 5 scorer. Came in as a quarterback 16, which I think is outside the top 5.
Yeah, it is. I'll take the L on that. Because he hasn't been good for so long, so I shouldn't have been that high on him. Straight up, just wrong.
Can I try to do this off the cuff here? Just start rattling off I'd be curious how long the list definitively is of quarterbacks that you would prefer to Patrick Mahomes right now.
Yeah, it's
Ready? Let's just
all right, good.
do
For
it.
this week or for the rest of
Like,
season?
I don't want to, I was thinking about this last night, is that like, I don't want to do rest of season all the time because there's so much time left, but I don't want to only do this week. So think of
like
it
the
as
next month, like who?
yes,
Okay.
or the next month.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Josh Allen.
This is not knowing the schedules, but yeah, Allen for sure.
Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson,
Lamar, yes,
Jalen Hurts,
yes,
Jaden Daniels,
yes,
Joe Burrow,
yes,
okay? CJ Stroud,
Yes.
yeah,
okay? Kyler Murray,
yes.
Yes.
Brock Purdy,
Yes.
Ooh, it's a close one. I'll say Purdy. Yeah.
Purdy,
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, yes or no?
I'll give a slight edge to Mahomes, but it's a close one.
All right, so we got to 8 definitively. Is there
You're
anybody
saying
that I'm
Dak?
I'd
really
say Dak.
missing?
Yeah.
Okay, 8 or 9. Anybody else that you would?
I'd rather have Justin Fields.
Justin Fields.
I don't know.
That's a spicy one.
That's a good one. Yeah, because he also hasn't been great, and he might lose that job at some point. I mean,
I'm sorry. The Steelers are 3-0. How is he going to lose that job?
okay, what are the Chiefs?
The Chiefs are 3-0.
Oh, you're saying lose the job? No, that doesn't matter. If they think Russ is better, and I mean, at some point they're going to start losing games. So
fans, and Chiefs fans have
quick.
said, and I'm not saying this I think this is actually a reasonable explanation, is that what's happening is Patrick Mahomes is taking what the defense gives him. That's what you should be doing as a quarterback, right? And defenses, are not going to let the Chiefs beat them over the top. I think the rise in too high safeties can be traced, at least in part, to those years in which the Chiefs just smashed the easy button over and over and over again, right? But also, they just don't have the personnel to do it. Obviously, Hollywood Brown being out impacts this. But has Xavier... I don't recall this. How many times do you guys recall the Chiefs just play action, drop back, throw the ball to Xavier Worthy 50 yards down the field and just hope that he makes the catch? Has that happened?
no,
Not really.
no, not that I can recall. They just haven't taken them shot plays, unless it's Justin Watson, of course.
No, and Scott Barrett just posted a tweet. I don't know if you saw that today, but looking back from 2022 to 2024, deep targets and who has been better in the NFL. And it was between him and Derek Carr. I'd suggest you guys go find it because Derek Carr has thrown 3 times as many touchdowns on deep passes over the last 2 years. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has become a dink and dunk quarterback.
Isn't that crazy? And there's nothing wrong with how Patrick Mahomes plays in real life. He's
In real
the best player
football.
on the planet. But
Yes.
For fantasy purposes, Patrick Mahomes is not a difference maker, which he was for the first, whatever it was, 3 starting seasons of his career.
I'm going to list this off. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I talked about this on FF Now. Part of why offense is down and the way, the quarterback position has been lately is there's just more running quarterbacks. And we talked about how this is trending up over the last decade. Now it's it used to be if you ran, you had an edge, but now it's everyone runs. Everyone.
So if you
don't,
not an edge.
yeah, I think the stat was every quarterback in the top 10 through week 2 had at least 115 rushing yards or a touchdown on the ground, all of them. So
Mahomes has neither, I'm assuming.
Mahomes, I don't think he's run one in yet this year. He had 0 last year, but he's not. He's not a difference maker with his legs anymore. He doesn't run a lot, and rushing is up. I mean, it is through 2 weeks. It was by far the most rushing yards we've seen from quarterbacks ever. It's not even. It's by 400 yards. So that's a part of it. Mahomes he's he's not taking the deep shots.
Nope.
Not racking
Doesn't
up
run.
a ton of passing touchdowns. He's not running. It's just a bad recipe for fantasy.
I got a few more Mahomes takes, but I'm going to save them for when we get into the rankings. Talk about this week specifically, because I know people are going to want to know that. So let's get in. We got Fantasy Imposter that we're going to talk about, guys. Here's the deal. We got a handful of
Playing a
cards.
game.
Yeah, we're going to play a game here, Fantasy Imposter. What we're going to do is we've got some cards in front of us. All right, we're going to draw these cards. 2 of us are going to have the name of a player. One of us is just going to have an imposter. It's going to say imposter. So what we have to do is describe traits on that player and be able to guess which quarterback, running back, wide receiver, or tight end that is. And when you have the imposter card, you're trying to just sort of play along, kind of like Among Us, if you've ever played Among Us. You're trying to suss out who the person is, okay?
Well, and the person who's the imposter has no idea who it is. So let's just give this an example. If Daniel draws the imposter on quarterback and he has Peyton Manning, and Mike and I obviously know the player is Peyton Manning, and Mike and I know it. We're going to be sitting there talking about accurate, large forehead,
Exactly.
Proficient, Super Bowl winner. If Daniel's elite athlete or something, we'd be okay,
Scrambler.
Yeah, good wheel. Yeah, exactly. All right.
Mike and I are
So when we think we know, do we just say it?
Yeah, you can call it out.
you
can call it out.
You sound like the imposter.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to look away from the screen. Hide your eyes because we're going to flash it up there for this first one. For the people at home watching, this is definitely a segment you should see
Okay, so
online.
we just close our eyes, right?
Close our eyes. Just make sure we're not looking at the screen for anything like that. All right, and here's the first one that we're going to pull up.
Okay.
All right.
And Devin, when I can.
How we going in order?
All right, I'm going to start first, okay?
Hold on. Don't do it yet.
Okay. Wait, you're not allowed to look, are you? Oh yeah, you're allowed to look, but you're not allowed to know because
All right, just go.
I need
Just
to know
start
you
going.
to describe. You right?
Right, that's fair. Okay, that's fair. All right. Let's say
This is going great.
short yardage.
Foster.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Oh my gosh,
the
Field
microphone.
Jason. And you obviously don't have
Targets.
enough hands to be able to do that.
Oh boy. All right. So we're doing. If you're just listening,
Yeah.
we're literally doing some mechanic work here, some repair of a microphone.
But Mike is the imposter, by the way.
Trying to
I already know it.
play a game here.
Mike's the imposter. I already know. But keep going, Mike.
Pedigree.
how do I say this? Let me think of what else he can be. After the catch. Here you go. I got this here for you.
This is a great programming. Right
A-Dot.
A-Dot, okay.
Mike's the imposter.
I would say agile.
I agree. Mike is the imposter.
Mike's definitely
here.
the imposter.
Yeah, Mike,
Okay.
you're the imposter.
You're the imposter.
Yeah, I am.
I knew right away.
Why? I didn't even say any words.
Because the reveal of who this is.
Rashi Rice.
Oh.
And when
okay.
Daniel says, what was the first thing you said? Short targets?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, got to be because I know who it is as well, right? And you can know you sort of get the sense of the imposter because it's like agile, like it's a fairly like
It's a generic description.
Well, we're learning. We've literally never done this before.
Hey, we're better.
Okay, so anyway, Rashi Rice.
It got thrown off. The segment got thrown off a little bit by Field messing up with his mic. However, let's take a look.
being able to fix
We got Rashi Rice as wide receiver 3 this week, guys. I mean, this might be one of the best values that people had all draft season with where he's been.
So we hear the wide receiver rankings in full, and I'd be curious for you guys. The first 5 players on consensus rank: CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Rashi Rice, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
6 through 10 is Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Devonta Smith, and Chris Godwin.
What surprised me about these 5, Mike, and maybe Daniel's going to get there, is you have Amon-Ra outside your top 10. Is that a matchup thing this week?
Yeah, they're playing
Seattle Seahawks.
Playing Seattle. I think it's just a comparison of performance to the other guys. I mean, he just hasn't been quite as dominant. He's been fine, but his targets are down a little bit, and I do expect, assuming he plays, Sam Laporta will bounce back a little bit. Seattle's defense has played pretty well so far, so
Interesting.
it's just a strong group right now.
Such an
Lion hater.
interesting one, though, like because over the past 2 weeks, Amon-Ra has 19 and then 8 targets, right? So
Yeah, he had that
is good,
random-
right? He had the 3 that kind of skews it in week 1. And Seattle's such an interesting defense to size up because they've played Bo Nix in his NFL debut, the Patriots, and Skylar Thompson. With
Yeah,
Tim
that's
Boyle
a fair
for half
point.
of it. So it's
But
like,
you know,
I don't
Devon
know.
Witherspoon in the slot too. I mean,
I don't know the answer. Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I think it's really interesting, and I love this, that 3 weeks, or guys, 4 weeks into the season, both of the top rookie wide receivers are already inside our top 10, with both Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and that's part of why St. Brown's down from like 6 to 11. I mean, it's also like Godwin, who's been terrific. Like, who do I have ahead of him that's been bad, or
Nobody. No, I just
mean,
think
it's just-
I tend to like. Okay, so here's what I would say then is that like the matchup for the Giants must be excellent because CD has not been as good as Amon-Ra, and he's right up there at number 1 for you.
Yeah, still, his target share is down. So I am being a little bit more aggressive with Lamb's target share than where it's been so far this season. I expect him to get back where he was. Remember, he did start slow last season. But, I mean, Lamb is a great matchup. I mean, Deontay Banks hasn't done very well at all so far this season, and he's going to shadow Lamb when he's on the perimeter, and then Lamb will be in the slot. And the slot guy, Drew Phillips for the Giants, got injured last week. I don't even know if he's going to play. So I am expecting a big rebound game here from CeeDee Lamb.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to quickly look at wide receivers 11 through 20, just to be able to make sure that people know where we're at on the second half of these wide receiver
We should talk about the
rankings?
2 rookies a little bit further once we get this panel up there. But yeah, what sticks out for you on that 11 through 20?
11 through 20, I'm going to list them off real quick for our audio listeners. DK Metcalf, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Tyreek Hill, all the way down at wide receiver 19. And Deontay Johnson goes from not being a guy that you even want to consider starting to a top 20 wide receiver this week.
Let me ask you guys this then. We said last week it would have taken like a really rare roster construction to have Tyreek Hill on your bench. Like you would have had to really, really thrive in the draft and gone wide receiver heavy to consider benching Tyreek. A week later, how much has your mind changed, if at all?
I'd still be hard pressed to bench him, which is why I still have him wide receiver 15. So that's a lineup block. Like I'm just again, if you're right, if you hit home runs and you only start 2 receivers and you got Godwin and Neighbors or something, and maybe another really good receiver because you were maybe. But
There's an example on the screen there, a guy who has climbed decidedly this week, Deontay Johnson. Like, if you had Zay Flowers, Chris Godwin, and Deontay Johnson with Tyreek Hill, which is that's a real thing that based off ADP could have happened. Is Tyreek Hill the odd man out there?
I mean, my rankings say I'm still going Hill, but do you sit there and think about it? Sure. I mean, it's at least a close call based on what we've seen so far this season. But
Man, that's a tough one.
It might be Tim Boyle or Tyler Huntley.
I think it's like my gut, which does not always lead me in the right direction, but my gut is screaming Snoop Huntley.
Yeah. me too.
Monday Night Football, you have the extra day to prepare.
Yep.
Not a great matchup. It was really bad last week. Like really, really bad. God, we missed Tua in so many ways. He's obviously, we wish him his health more than anything, but
Definitely.
we miss him.
Same with Skylar Thompson. But, like, we knew Skylar Thompson wasn't, like, a great quarterback. And as someone that's watched Tim Boyle play a lot, like, Tim Boyle is not him.
Not good. Not
No.
good.
So,
You know what's wild about the Dolphins not putting up big passing stats is they have trailed on the scoreboard at the highest rate in the NFL
Insane. You said
so
that
far this season.
85%.
Tweeted it, yeah.
Wow.
Raiders are second. But that's incredible. I mean, who would have thought that they'd be? And so you would think certainly they're throwing a lot
lucky to
more
be
because
1
of
and
that,
2.
but it's still, no doubt about that.
Anyway, so I just wanted to, and on the two rookies, Malik Neighbors obviously leading all wide receivers in fantasy points. Enough explanation for why he's highly rated.
Yeah, third on my board, yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. draws the Commanders this week.
yes, he does.
We have seen, and not that he is ailing right now. He's got back-to-back games with a touchdown, and so he's got nearly 200 yards and 3 touchdowns over the past 2 games. But as we saw with Jamar Chase, nothing can boost the value of a wide receiver quite like facing off against the Commanders.
Yeah, the Commanders are still, I mean, it's been years now, but they're just a mess of corner. I mean, and they don't have Kendall Fuller anymore, so they're just trying to figure this out. They moved Sandristel, the rookie, to the perimeter this week because he was in the slot. They moved him outside. He got toasted. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do.
He is a pure slot corner, as Mikey said. I love the football player, but he is definitely a slot corner who was playing outside corner, and it was not.
Yeah, they put Noah Igbenogany in the slot, and he was a guy that didn't work out, a former first-round pick with Miami. And, I mean, Emmanuel Forbes will be back at some point, but we might be picking on them all year long.
He will be.
If you see Tyreek Hill finish outside the top 25 again this week, is that going to maybe
Yes.
that is where we start making.
I'm already. I somehow have zero exposure to Tyreek Hill this year. I have no idea that happened, and I did not. I felt sick to my stomach with that being the case going into the season.
Normally, I'd think
and
that's
now
why
I'm
your
like,
teams are bad. But
yeah.
not.
I don't think I do either, aside of Dynasty.
Anyways,
All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Another guy. We're going to flash it in, but
flash
don't
the
look,
screen
don't look.
first.
We're flashing it up on the screen for the people at home. We're not sure.
All right.
All right, here we
Alvin
go.
Johnson.
All right.
Went to look.
All right. And I'm going to let you kick this one off.
Okay. Here we go. Ready?
Yep.
Accuracy.
Okay. Well, Fields the imposter.
I agree.
Not.
I agree.
We might have to do it by position because that was so
That was a tough one.
old.
Old is correct. Pass catcher.
Travis Kelce, obviously.
Yeah, Fields the imposter.
Dang it!
Fields the imposter.
Wait, so
You gave away
was
the
me
first-
saying Travis Kelce to?
Well, you saying accuracy when it's Aaron Jones is a tough one.
What is he? He's accurate at.
What is he accurate at?
I don't know.
The funny part is like
Something
things-
more generic than accuracy.
I didn't, but I was like, I just figured it wasn't a wide receiver, and so I was afraid of going like fast or something and having it be.
Have it be a bad quarterback, a
yeah,
slow
I
guy.
didn't know. So yeah, I'm the imposter.
Aaron Jones cracks the top 10 guys in our running back
He
rankings
does.
this
Good.
week.
Say anything,
Hot
Mike?
start to the season. No, look, the concern with these guys is over
they
the
hold up?
long term of the season. Can Aaron Jones keep this up for the full season? We've seen a lot of these older backs fall off pretty quickly. It's making me nervous as somebody heavily invested in Alvin Kamara, seeing him push 30 carries a game. But we've seen a lot of these older backs fall apart already so far this season. So I'm nervous about him sustaining this long term. I'm going to keep Ty Chandler on my bench. But for now, Aaron Jones, no doubt about it, in the running back one conversation. He's off to a terrific start.
Other than Aaron Jones, the top 10 at running back kind of looks like you would expect for the top 10 of a running back position through the first 4 weeks, with a few exceptions. But when you look at these guys, Saquon Barkley, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Alvin Kamara, and Kyron Williams are the top 5 for our audio listeners at home. 6 through 10 is Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, Jordan Mason, which makes sense, filling in for CMC still, Aaron Jones at 9, and then Derrick Henry at 10.
Question for you guys once again. Right back to Miami. How bothered are you about the value of Devon Achane with the backup quarterback?
Yeah, I'm concerned for a few reasons. He's only averaging about like 3.6 or 7 yards per carry, so the rushing has not been good there. And also, he really benefited the first couple of weeks because no team faced too high safeties more than Miami. They were protected against Tyreek Hill, and that allowed him to just catch he literally has caught 100% of his targets because he's wide open in the short area because everyone's, the safeties are off the line, and that has allowed him to really jack up his receiving. So if that comes back to earth, which it will to some extent, can he make up for it with rushing? That hasn't been there. Just this so far this season. The boxes are going to be more stacked now. Raheem Mostert at some point is going to come back and have a role. And we saw it last week. He already did come back to earth. So I'm nervous about that one. The guy's obviously very talented, but he is small and not rushing well and bad offense now.
I can't recall if it was 8.2 or 9.2 points last week for Devon Achane. But either way, this is still significant. 3.7 of those points came on the first play of the game. Oof. He caught a 27-yard pass. If it is Tim Boyle, who starts for Miami once again, I have a mind-blowing stat courtesy of the great Kevin Pulsifer.
Bring it.
Tim Boyle is not a young guy. He's been around for a while. Mm-hmm. Tim Boyle has thrown a total of 5 touchdown passes in his NFL and FBS college career combined.
Oh, gosh, that's wild. Not good.
FBS and NFL. He finished up at UConn, did Tim Boyle. That's dispiriting right there.
Yeah. Doesn't feel good.
Wow.
Feels like the stat that we already got. Mike, you said this I think it was last week when you were talking about both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Once Tua went out, neither one of those pass catchers caught a touchdown the entirety of the rest of the season.
That continued last week.
Yeah, did not.
They were a tough
feel
watch.
Good.
Anyways,
and by the way, if it's Tyler Huntley, he's a runner.
He's
I don't
a
know
scrambler.
if he's doing much through the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
That's going to be very tough. It'll be very interesting to see if they get Snoop Huntley under center, what that offense is going to look like moving forward. So.
I'm going to guess the next one's either a quarterback or a tight end. Maybe Tyler can confirm.
Yeah, we need the position.
Hold on. Let's look through really quickly. Look through 11 through 20 at the running back rankings as well. 11 through 20 for all the people at home so that we can make sure that we pay this off as well. James Conner at 11. Joe Mixon. Jahmyr Gibbs at 13. 14 is James Cook. 15, Travis Etienne. 16, J.K. Dobbins. 17, Josh Jacobs. Then Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson, and Ramondre Stevens.
Let me ask you guys a player who's not on that list that I think some people are pretty in on this week.
Yep.
Devin Singletary.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Should he be inside the top 20?
Yes.
I have him like right there on the fringe. He's been awesome so far. He's handling a bulk of the snaps in the backfield. He's playing well the last couple of weeks. We know he's super reliable. So, yeah, I mean, he's
Hold on. You're missing something, though.
Oh, what am I?
Dallas Cowboys have given up the most fantasy points this year to
matchup,
running backs.
That's what we're keeping an eye on this week for Singletary.
Yep.
Thursday night game, obviously. The Cowboys have been the worst in terms of, as Daniel just said, limiting opposing running back fantasy.
And passing games. They're the worst defense in the league.
They've been terrible in general, but the running numbers are astounding right now. Derrick Henry was great against them last week. Yeah. They played the Browns in week 1, and it wasn't like the Browns mashed, but still. And then in week 2, the Cowboys lose that game, against the Saints, and Alvin Kamara goes nuts. So back-to-back, just mammoth performances by running backs against the Cowboys. And I do believe, and this is getting kind of, this is not narrative-y, I think it's just kind of logic, is that I think the Giants are saying they're traveling on a short week. They've been terrible against the run. We're going to ground and pound them into oblivion until they prove to us that they can stop the run, or if they get up by 17 points, we have no choice but to abandon the run.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if the Giants pull this upset off because, I mean, look, we're going to get to quarterbacks in a second. Like, we like Daniel Jones this week, too. He's a couple touchdowns in back-to-back games, and he's playing this defense that can't stop anybody.
I want to say this quickly before we move on. I want to talk about another running back. I'm nervous about Travis Etienne this week. I mean, Travis Etienne has been outside the top 20 every single week to start the season. This Jaguars offense does not inspire a ton of confidence, and it feels like they're playing from behind all the time. It's not like he's getting a ton of passing game work. The Houston Texans have allowed the 7th fewest fantasy points to running back so far this year. So I know we have him inside the top 20, and given what the state of the running back position is, I don't think you can bench him, but I am nervous about him given what this offense has looked like.
I'll just say this. I feel okay with him because last week was an opportunity for them to maybe work Tank Bigsby in a little bit more, and it was the opposite. Like, it was clearly the ETN show. He's still playing the snaps, getting the carries, same involvement in the passing game as last year. So I think the largest concern with him is that offense. That offense is so bad right now. Yep. But at least he's clearly holding on to that clear number 1 job, and that is not the case for a lot of running backs.
Yeah, this is a good player, first-round pick, who is getting RB2 utilization, maybe even like fringe RB1 utilization. They just can't find the end zone. So I think what you're saying is fair. My rankings, though, reflect slightly more confidence in that.
Okay. Interesting. What if I said to you, I think he's going to finish outside the top 15 this week?
I think we should do a board bet.
I got to stop. I'm not taking any more bets where I take the high finish because the range of outcomes.
Stop ranking him there then, Mike.
Yeah, fine.
No, it's.
Do you want this one, or do you want me to take it? Do you want to do a 2-for-1 special?
No,
I don't care.
I'll take the unders.
I want to have these because
I'm an unders guy, and I keep betting over.
Mike, you sit out on this one because that means no matter what, we can't make fun of you next week. Because if you don't
You can,
lose,
but you will.
all right.
You'll find a way.
I've got him at 21. You've got him at 17. You want to split the difference, say top 19?
whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to do is fine by me.
All right. I say Travis Etienne will not be a top 19 running back in week 4.
And I say Travis Etienne will be a top 19 running back in week 4.
Put it on the board.
All right, I actually
Put
like
it
that
on
one.
the board.
I thought you were going to do like top 10 or something.
No, I mean, it's based on the rankings that he's at, Why do you hate David Montgomery, by the way? One of the only running backs that's finished
You know
top
what?
20 all 3 straight weeks.
He's one of those guys where if you ask me who was like the hardest guy to rank, he's like maybe atop the list. It's tough because Jahmyr Gibbs, I feel like I'm a little low on him as well. I mean, their offense hasn't been as good as it's been the last couple of years.
Any concerns about the offensive line right now?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, now Ragno's out as well. And this, I talked about this in the offseason. Like, that's one of the concerns with the Lions. You go 2 straight years and are almost perfect health. Like, the bottom's going to fall out at some point, and it's starting to catch up a little bit to them. And by catch up, I mean it's like aligns with the rest of the NFL. It's just so hard to make it 3, let alone 2 full seasons healthy. But he's tricky because he's getting the carries. He has a rushing touchdown all 3 games. He had a handful of targets in the game where they had a lot of
nice
volume,
catches.
but in general, I think he has like a 6% target share. So he's just one of them tough guys. It's like then the usage says he's going to come back to earth, especially when Gibbs is there. But I don't know. He's performing too. So how do you bench him?
Scored more fantasy points than Jahmyr Gibbs throughout the first 3 weeks of the season. So it's definitely a tough one. I understand where it's like the Jahmyr Gibbs, I guess to say excitement because of what he does on the field just feels so much more fun to be able to start in fantasy.
So tough. It's like so hard to get 1 good running back out of an offense, let alone 2.
Yeah.
They give you 2.
Yep. All right. We're going to move ahead to the next one. Our next imposter. Mike, you're going to lead this one off. Everyone, eye muffs? How do you say that? Yeah, close your eyes? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Throwing it up there on the screen for people, making sure that we're good. Our producer's going to let us know in our ear as soon as that's done. All right. Throwing it up on the screen. Still waiting for the confirmation. All right. Here we go. And we're good. All right. Go ahead and look at it. Okay. Mike, go ahead and start this one
Now
off.
it's appropriate. Accuracy.
Mike is the imposter. Scrambler.
Legendary.
Stop it. Stop.
League winner. Fine.
Okay.
Intelligent.
Interceptions.
Better than Josh Allen.
Anthony Richardson.
Yes, that's it. Yes, Mike. Way to go. But you are, in fact, the imposter. There's no way that you're not the imposter.
I guess it, though, so you did a good job.
Yeah, that was great. He's fallen super far outside, not just the top 10, not the top 12. He's our quarterback 15
Yeah, this is a tough
heading into week 4.
Yeah, and the matchup is probably the worst you could face right now. The Steelers have not faced a high-octane passing offense yet. I don't believe Atlanta falls into that category as of this moment.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's not like Richardson's delivering, top 2, top 5 numbers, and like we're going to downgrade him to QB8 and say, even against a good defense, we're starting him. I mean, we told you to bench him last week, that was a great call because
you did. Not all of us did.
No, we did. We ranked them pretty low. I mean,
not all of us did.
All right. Well, all right.
Get better at your job.
Some of us,
man.
I was going to say, some of us are
said
loyal to the soil.
I just assumed you all knew better, but okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to abandon faith here entirely on the player, like for the season.
I agree with that.
Not for the season.
We need to have a couple of boom weeks back. And we talked about this on Monday's show, Mike. And obviously, this is more qualitative than it is quantitative, to borrow a phrase that Stefania has used a few times this year. The Colts need to change things a little bit offensively right now. Like, I believe for a team that is struggling on offense, it won its first game, not because of the offense. I guess because of the running game, but mostly because the defense was very opportunistic. I think they need to try to, play to the strengths of Anthony Richardson a little bit more. Because nothing is more important to their long-term success right now than maximizing Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
And there are ways to do that I don't believe they have done so far.
Yeah.
And I think if they do those, by the way, it would make him an excellent fantasy quarterback.
I agree. I mean, his game right now is, first of all, he's not running as much as we thought he was, so there's that. But also, it's just shot plays. I mean, he's just throwing it deep. I mean, they have to find some more high percentage throws for him and let other guys do some damage. They have a pretty good foursome at wide receiver, and they have Jonathan Taylor. They got to get the ball in their hands and let them do the work as opposed to him just chucking it deep all the time.
I thought it would look like Philly.
Yeah, me too. They have
a carbon copy where it's like every play incorporates 3 separate wrinkles. I can hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor. I can keep it myself. Or I can not hand it to Jonathan Taylor. I can keep it myself, but if the edge setter comes down and crashes towards me, I can dump it off to Kylan Granson or whoever. I don't care. Name your Colts tight end or wide receiver and let them pick up 8 yards and go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 2.
Yeah. He looks like a Madden player right now. Like, guys, it's like you either just want to throw it deep all the time or you want to take off and scramble with it.
That's definitely me playing Madden.
That's exactly
Trying to run every
right.
time. If I can't, I throw an interception.
That's it.
Or I
That's
throw it deep to whoever it is. Whoever has 99 speed.
Let's
Rashad
take
Perriman. I don't care.
He probably did have
Speed.
Yeah.
He had a moment where he's a Madden legend there for a while when I actually played
Still is a Madden.
Let's take a look at the top 10 at the quarterback spot. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen. Top 10 rankings for this week. Josh Allen, Lamar
DJ
Jackson.
is in there.
Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Jaden Daniels at 5. 6 through 10, C.J. Stroud, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes for you guys for some reason. Actually, not because of you guys.
Neither of us.
None of us.
All three of us have Patrick Mahomes at 10 or worse. Mike's the optimist at quarterback 10.
That's just crazy.
me ask you
Dak
guys-
Prescott at 9, Brock Purdy at 10 as well.
Daniel Jones at number 11. So Mike has Jones and Mahomes one spot apart. Daniel and I both have Daniel Jones
Yes.
ahead of Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, I do.
No, I do too.
Okay, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Who would have thought that going into the season? Not just that alone, but the fact that it's like, oh, he's going into Dallas. Like, we got up.
It's in New York, but still.
All right, well, we're
same
playing
thing.
against Dallas. We got to upgrade him against this Cowboys defense.
What do you think? Is this a board bet here? Like, you have them one spot apart, but like, do you want to be the Patrick Mahomes defender now for fantasy?
I have to do it again. Do it again. Sure. Why not?
Well, you shouldn't have ranked him there if you
It's
don't
a
want to take the
straight up
stance.
board bet. Patrick Mahomes or Daniel Jones. It's like
Okay,
a red zone stuff.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it because it's Patrick Mahomes, and like,
Content.
am I really going to lose back-to-back Mahomes board bets? Like,
Probably.
Maybe.
they're going to still win the Super Bowl, but
I know.
That's the thing. He's such a good NFL quarterback, but
Who cares? Like, I don't think Patrick Mahomes would be at all bothered by the idea that in our silly game of fantasy football, we have to be honest about what the numbers tell us.
Yep.
Right? Like,
yep.
he's completely unbothered by
he's
this.
like secure in himself.
I would say so.
like,
You're literally a 3-time Super Bowl champion, and you're like, you've played 100 regular season games.
He's got nothing to prove to us fantasy managers. However, if you draft him in fantasy, I'm with you, Field. Like I'm there. I say we take this board bet. Are you in on this?
Yeah. By the way, do you think he gets like DMs like from fantasy people who are angry? You know, like the players get him like, "Oh, you let my team down." Do you think he gets them? It's like, what? Of all people,
the
of
answer
all
is
like he might
yes,
be-
but I also think that like most of those messages go into like the private requests, like the things that
Oh
don't.
yeah.
He probably has to go and like actively seek them out. I'm sure somebody is controlling his.
I was gonna say, he has
social
someone
media
that does it
for him
for
in
him.
a lot of cases too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I say Daniel Jones outscores Patrick Mahomes in Week 4.
I also say Daniel Jones outscores Patrick Mahomes in Week 4.
I say Patrick Mahomes outscores Daniel Jones in Week 4.
Put it on the board.
That is a great.
I want
one.
to say this.
That's a thing.
All right, last one here, right?
I'm going to
tight
say
end.
this. I'm going to share it really quickly.
Okay, sorry. I keep trying to get ahead of the next imposter.
Last 9 games for Patrick Mahomes.
Don't say it.
Quarterback 16, quarterback 20, quarterback 17, quarterback 18, quarterback 24, quarterback 38, quarterback 12, quarterback 18, quarterback 16.
So the best finish was quarterback
QB 12, which was week 1 of this season, was the best of his last 9 games. I feel like we're at a point, and Mike, this is not a shot at you, but I feel like we're at a point still with Patrick Mahomes where people are looking at him based on name value and what he's done, like historically, rather than looking at what he's done recently. Because he's so good in the real NFL, but if you told me that I would rather start, and I said this earlier this week, people are going to be asking, can I play Baker Mayfield over him? Can I play Sam Darnold over him? Can I play Daniel Jones over him? I would rather have Justin Fields over Patrick Mahomes this week. Like, it's crazy that we're at a spot that we're saying he is outside our top 10, but there's a bunch of guys that I just want to tell people, it's okay if you play these other quarterbacks over Patrick Mahomes this week because it's about how you feel at football. And I feel like a lot of times, it's like start this season, we all had him inside our top 3 when we came into drafts. I think we just kind of need to get out of the idea that like Patrick Mahomes has kind of been a name value player within recent memory.
Yeah, but I think that's fair to some extent. But also, again, we draft him as like a top 3 or 4 quarterback. We have him. I mean, I have him 10th, and I'm like highest.
Correct.
We've clearly adjusted for the problems, but you can't just ignore how talented he is, the situation he's in, the offense that's there, what he's done in his career, that he's been an elite player. That matters when you're breaking ties among like fringe QB1. So that matters for me. That's why I'm going to lean toward him over someone like Daniel Jones.
I just want to correct one thing. You said that we all had Patrick Mahomes as a top 3 quarterback coming into the season. No, I'm a smart guy. I had Anthony Richardson in my top 3.
That's what it was.
Because that's going better.
Joke, obviously.
By the way, for the record, I forgot to add that on about Richardson. We did see his upside week 1.
Yes, we did.
So
We did.
At least it's happened once.
At least we've seen upside.
He's
from
won you
Anthony
a week
Richardson.
once.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes has not.
Has not won you a week.
not in a while.
It's not
I'm sure the
for a minute.
Chiefs.
All right.
You win lots of weeks.
Last one. This player, we're going to flash it up on the screen as well. This one is a quarterback as well. Okay, so we're going to, or excuse me, this is a tight end.
Yeah.
Our producer's going to let us know when we're good to go after it comes down off the screen. All right, here we go. All right, I guess I start with this one.
Yep.
Wheels.
What?
Wheels.
Wheels. Okay.
Not Travis Kelce.
That's yours?
Yeah.
Reliable.
Accurate.
Okay. Well, Daniel's the imposter.
Touchdown.
Yeah.
Daniel's the imposter.
I am the imposter.
Yes, you are.
Who is it?
Trey McBride. But we're doing tight ends.
Oh, that's my fault, guys. That's on me. Aaron said quarterbacks going
All
into
right,
this.
so this
I
is
want the
first
most. Yeah.
I think we-
Aaron Jones and Trey McBride are the most accurate quarterbacks / wide receiver / tight end.
You know what? They might be better than the quarterbacks we're actually playing in fantasy football
I hope
right
that was
now. for
somewhat
what it's worth.
entertaining because it was a disaster in execution, but we figured it out now, right?
We got there.
We're good on the fly. Next time we'll do it. We'll have a day.
Now we know what we're
I
doing.
feel like it's might be a better game with like 7 people.
100%. Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right.
Let's look at the top 10 at tight end because Trey McBride, I've got him at tight end 1. Mike, you've got him at tight end 1. Fields, you've got him top 3. Here is the top 10 at the tight end position. Trey McBride, George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, Brock Bowers, Jake Ferguson. Travis Kelce is at 6. Evan Ingram is at 7 if he comes back and plays this week. Dalton Kincaid at 8. Laporta at 9, dealing with a low ankle sprain. And Kyle Pitts rounds out our top 10 at the tight end position. I want to ask you the same question that I asked you guys about Patrick Mahomes. Like, are we ranking Travis Kelce based on name value, based on what he has done, or are you guys not yet out on Travis Kelce?
This one's a little bit different because no one is picking up the slack in Travis Kelce's place, right? Like, it's not like there are several tight ends that have jumped to the top of the heap.
We're at the quarterback spot that you've seen a bunch of guys be able to jump into that spot.
We've seen guys have moments.
Yes,
right.
that's fair. Very
I
fair.
asked the question earlier: how many tight ends have scored at least 8 fantasy points in every game?
The fact that it's 0
The
is
answer is 0. How many tight ends have scored at least 7 points in every game?
3.
I don't know. 2.
1. Brock Bowers. That's it.
Oh. Wow. Yeah. Good call.
7.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a difficult bar to clear.
So low.
So, anyways, the point is that, yes, I hear you on Travis Kelce. The name is keeping him afloat relative to other players that have seen their value dip. But there's also players that no one's like overperformed. And you've got guys who have been hurt, like David Njoku and Evan Ingram, who are big question marks going into this week.
Very fair.
Yeah.
One name that does not show up in that top 10, guys, is the Mike Clay of tight ends, which obviously Mark Andrews.
What do you do here?
Tough. I don't know how you approach him. Mike, what are you doing?
I want to say this first of all. There was I was waiting for this. I couldn't wait to hear from John Harbaugh after Sunday for his explanation, and I love John Harbaugh, legendary coach, Hall of Famer, superstar. Love the guy. He's amazing. His response that was not. I don't want to say it's nonsense because it might be true in the current circumstances of the team, but it does not. It was essentially accepted like, oh, it's just, it's the usual, like it's part of the game plan. We were winning. This is completely different than the last 5 years. What?
Yesterday's show, on the show, I was like, I think John Harbaugh is incredible.
Oh, no.
Winning
Did you
head
really?
coach,
He really
yada,
did.
yada, yada. But I think he's trolling us with his answers.
Yeah, I mean, it was like they should have pushed back. Like the people sitting there had to be like, they couldn't be like, oh yeah, of course, this has always been this way. They were winning. Yeah, of course. Look at games. They're always winning games. Like they're favorites or winning games for years now, and he's still always played 80-90% of the snaps. He hasn't played like this since his rookie year. It's clearly a substantial change in his usage. He was third among tight ends in snaps. He played a quarter of the snaps. And by the way, Harbaugh also said what? Oh, when we were throwing, he was out there. He ran 4 pass routes in the game.
4 routes.
It's a major problem now. And I thought it wasn't an issue because week 2, his playing time went back up. He was the most targeted player on the team. All right, we're good. He's back. He's healthy. He's ready. This is a big problem. Like, I don't know how you start him this week. Maybe going forward it'll be different. They'll get him going again. But this is problematic. I mean, it's very clear Isaiah Likely, and that's been the pushback from a lot of people. Is like, well, Isaiah Likely had a down game, so did Zay Flowers. Yeah, but they were out there on the field when they were throwing. Likely led all their skill players in snaps in the game and routes. Like, he was on the field. Zay Flowers was on the field. Bateman. Andrews was behind. Charlie Kolar, right? So if they're behind, which they're not often, or they're competitive and they're throwing, maybe he plays a little more, but not enough where you're like, this is an elite fantasy tight end. I mean, it is a problem right now.
He was out-snapped last week, to your point. 39 snaps for Isaiah Likely, only 20 for Mark Andrews.
Yes.
The idea that he's playing half as many snaps. Is this just because we saw what Isaiah Likely can be, the emergence, even though he hasn't really shown it other than week 1? Like,
I can't offer
there's
any
no explanation.
I have none.
That has to be it, though. It has to be like we think now Likely's our best tight end. I mean, I don't know what
Why else would he be out there on the field more often than Mark
And
Andrews?
maybe Andrews is just taking time to get back his feet back under him, and he's not all the way there. And behind closed doors, they know that. And maybe at some point he turns the corner and he's back to, like DeAndre Hopkins seemed like in the second half last week he was back. Yeah,
but they've been listing DeAndre on the injury report as like,
Yeah.
hey, he's still
You're right.
limited, right? Like with Andrews, they're not saying a thing about it.
I don't know. I don't know how he could be. People say he's toast or he's done at age 29 with the career. I have a hard time believing that. So. I don't know, but the fact is, at the end of the day, this is a tight end that's playing a quarter of the snaps. I don't know how you trust that player in your fantasy lineup.
Yeah, I don't feel
I wouldn't drop him
either.
I wouldn't drop him because of what he offers. Like you want difference-making league-winning players on your team. So I would wait a little longer from that front, but I can't start him this week.
No, it doesn't feel good. I'm probably at a spot where if I see another snap share like we saw this last week, that I will start thinking about ranking Isaiah Likely higher than Mark Andrews. But this week I would still, if I had to throw a dart at one of these tight ends, I still want to go back to Mark Andrews. But part of me, it's the same thing I said with these other players. Like, is this because I've just seen Mark Andrews be good in the past, even though the team isn't utilizing him the way that I want? Like, I'd rather have the tight end that's on the field more, but it's hard for me to put Isaiah Likely ahead of Mark Andrews yet. So
Yeah, playing Buffalo this week, I mean, this could be a shootout of sorts and a lot of passing. So maybe Andrews does get back on track in this one if it's closer.
Let's hope.
They're trailing
let's
in this
hope.
one. Ravens, I believe, are favored in that game. I was a little surprised by that. The Bills are just lights out right now.
Oh my gosh!
I mean,
well, they didn't even play an opponent last week, which was.
I don't know how I just continue to undervalue. I think we all undervalue Sean McDermott. Like I see coaching rankings, and it's like he's never in the top 10. I mean, how does this guy do it again? Like he's just so good.
You know why? I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
I'll tell you why. I think I'm a Sean McDermott apologist.
I do too, and I still was low on the Bills.
But here's why. Here's the reason why. Sean McDermott doesn't go up to the microphone and give you a bunch of fancy sayings. And
yeah, you're right.
He's not this like super bubbly guy. Sean McDermott's a ball coach. This guy's got a wrestling background. Sean McDermott's tough as a $2 steak. And so what? He's not dynamic in front of the microphone. I don't care.
I don't care about
they
that
win.
at all.
Yeah, but you know what?
They overachieve too.
Yes,
it's just
but
what
psychology influences these coaching rankings. I guarantee that.
Yeah,
guarantee it.
I think you're right. I
The
think
nicer you are, the more you're gonna get the benefit of the doubt.
But still, I thought they might. Like last year, they almost missed the playoffs. Like they barely got into the playoffs, and then their roster is definitely worse than last year. They lost some skill guys. They lost Matt Milano. Their secondaries, they should have taken a step back. So if you barely make the playoffs and get worse, in theory, you should miss the playoffs the next year, right? Based on other teams getting better. And they're maybe the best team in the NFL. McDermott's incredible. Josh Allen's incredible. They just
James Cook has been incredible this year for Washington.
He's been awesome.
So good.
They're not even really getting that. They're running the ball. They're not getting a ton out of the receivers other than your boy Shakir. But
Count it.
they are literally their top two receivers are Marquez Valdes-Scantling
Stop.
and Mac Hollins.
Stop.
And they're just crushing teams.
Mac Hollins, for what it's worth, is a great blocker downfield. Like
And
he's.
for what it's worth, is a great Instagram follow.
Is he? I'll have to follow him on Instagram.
He does these
then.
monthly challenges. He's now 2 months into it. The first one was Mac's home maintenance challenge. He teach you a new tip. You know me, I'm trying to become a little more DIY.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Usually just means me trying something, then calling Daniel to see how to fix it. And then 2, his second month is a dancing routine challenge.
Ooh, that would be a fun one. All right. We'll have to go into that. We'll have to check it out. All right.
So that's you're doing. So you do like birds and playing cards. I like to, if I have time, I like to try to cook stuff.
Yeah.
We tried to do copycat McDonald's hamburgers and fries last night. The fries were a disaster. Burgers actually came out pretty good. So I like to try cooking. You do DIY stuff? That's your side hustle?
I mean, right now, not so much.
Yeah.
I usually am just basically changing diapers.
That's fair. You're at that stage.
And I just really quickly, can you maybe just aim a little higher than McDonald's for when you're cooking at home? Like there's a lot of places for you to choose from.
They taste really good. Like there's a reason they're the most popular chain in the world.
Oh wait,
right?
smash burgers are so much better than
How
McDonald's.
do you
Well, that's
like,
kinda
what
like
does
their
that mean to
burgers kind of are
try to
smash burgers.
make?
Huh?
How do you try to make McDonald's? What does that mean? Like
You just try to make like an 1/8 pound patty.
Oh,
and
okay.
get it on the roll and put there's not actually in hindsight there wasn't much to it, but It actually was good, like just having like the smash burger like they have. I don't know. I thought it tasted really good.
Are you doing like a
There's
Big Mac? Are you
there's a
doing
trick.
a...
When you're done and it's done, you put it in the microwave for like 15 seconds. It like changes the texture of the roll. I don't know. It worked. I was like, this is actually good. So anyway, I like to mess around with cooking. And
Speechless.
Thank you for the invite, by the way, Mike.
Yeah, appreciate that.
No Tyler Fulgham, but
Do you have a top 5 burger, by the way, for what it's worth? Before we
Top
take some
5 burger,
questions?
like from a chain?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
I am loyal to, and this is a bit of a curveball, it's a little bit of a regional thing too. I do love Five Guys.
Yeah, Five Guys is
they're great.
awesome.
My favorite meal of all time is from a local place in Kutztown where I went to college, and they only have a food truck now because they're building flooded, so they do the food truck, so it's hard to find it, but it's called Spuds. Their fries and their Spuds burger combo, best thing I've ever had in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
That would
I
be
want to
my-
go down there and visit Kutztown. Maybe Craig Reynolds and Andre
find
Reed,
the- That's right.
Mike Clay can be inducted into the school's Hall of Fame
I
at
miss
the
you,
same
Spuds.
time.
I wish I could get Spuds delivered to Connecticut.
That could probably be done. That
Yeah,
could be
we
arranged.
should make that happen. Maybe next time we do a Fantasy Focus live show, we can go out to Kutztown and they can be in the parking lot as a part of what we're doing.
Yeah, there we go. Let's go. Andre
Love
Reed
that.
Field.
Love that. All right, we're going to take a couple questions from the mailbag right now. We tried to get to a few yesterday. We're going to get to a few more today. This first one comes from Jockey Wolf, says, should Brandon Ayuk managers be panicking after his Week 3 performance? Feels like it to me, too.
Yeah, I spoke about it earlier, and again, I know Mike will tell me, hey, he had a 38% target share. That's that is the reason that like this can turn around. But again, I just will point to like there are certain players that you drafted. I say this a lot during the preseason. There are so many guys who don't have any pathway to 17-week value. Like I use that phrase a lot with like Trey Benson. Like he is the clear backup to James Conner.
Yep.
But if James Conner misses time, I would be optimistic on what Trey Benson could be. But when I'm ranking him as like RB 47 in the preseason, it's not because he will be my Week 1 RB 47, or maybe he will be. But the point is that, but if he like his weekly ranking will could be much higher than that, but it could also be a whole lot lower than that if James Conner is healthy on the field. There are certain players that you draft them and you expect them to hold value from start to finish of the season. So the fact that it hasn't happened in 3 weeks with Brandon Ayuk is a bit disconcerting, and it needs to turn around this week, or else I'm going to be that much more panicked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was 33% was the number for his target share, and if you're getting something like that from Brock Purdy and a Kyle Shanahan offense, and in a relatively good matchup. I mean, he is going to – I've had this question asked to me already, and I did write about it in the Shadow Report. Will he draw shadow coverage, or will Jennings get it after the big game? It's going to be Ayuk against Gonzalez in this game for sure. He's going to shadow him. Here's the thing, though, and the reason is Jennings is almost exclusively in the slot last week. Gonzalez is not going inside. So he'll be on Ayuk. But teams have not been afraid of Gonzalez this year. He's heavily targeted. There's been big plays, big games against him, so I'm not super worried about that. New England's allowed the seventh most.
Right, though? Like, is it like Jamar Chase week 1?
Yeah.
2 catches against Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
Week 3, Garrett Wilson has 33 yards total.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2, the DK Metcalf game, which did include the 56-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
I don't have a good feel for it yet. I'm banking.
I think he's good, but teams just he's going to escape his coverage here or there, and the players have been heavily targeted. So
fair enough.
It's enough for me at least where I'm not like panicking this week.
This is not Patrick
he's startable. He's not ranked as high as he was last week. New England overall has given up a lot to receivers, and again, 33% of the targets is about what we expected last week. He got it. Still had almost 10 fantasy points. It could have been way worse, but. I'm sticking with him. I'm going to start him this week.
2 things to close the book on that. I think when you mentioned looking back at Christian Gonzalez and what he's done, I don't know how much of Christian Gonzalez against Garrett Wilson was Christian Gonzalez and how much was Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson still not being on the same page. That's part of what I'm trying to figure out with the way this works. Because, Mike, you had started the stat before Field rudely interrupted you. 7th most fantasy points allowed to the wide receiver spot for the New England Patriots.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that one works out.
They got toasted in week 2 by DK and Jackson Smith.
Yeah.
Toasted.
All right.
And they got toasted last week by Alan Lazard. He of 3 receiving touchdown fame.
Right. You're not.
We'll talk about that. He's a fraud. Lazard the fraud.
Yeah, he should have been the imposter in one of the things that we did here.
Oh my God.
He is the imposter of the season.
He is an imposter.
All right, another question here comes from Dimitri. He says, I traded away Tyreek Hill and Ramondre Stevenson for Alvin Kamara. Did I panic too early, or did I get my money's worth? Because I already have good wide receiver depth.
I am going to fence it. I don't know. If Tua's back after just 4 games, which would be 5 weeks, so they have their bye in there, then I think it's too much.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know. Because I don't know when Tua's back.
Exactly right. I agree. This is a tough call. But, I mean, look, you have to make the playoffs first to win the championship. Getting Kamara, I think, is a nice add. Ramondre had that major dud last week. I think he's going to be fine. But you're right. I mean, if Tua's back in a few weeks, you're probably going to be a little disappointed you made that move, but you might win 3 out of your next 4, and it might matter most when it comes to it.
I think that uncertainty has most fantasy managers thinking, what if Tua just doesn't come back at all this season? And if that's the case, like I would rather get out early than feel like it's too late and then I don't get the value that I could have for Tyreek Hill.
I think it's fine. You probably understand it from both sides.
It's not a bad trade. I don't think it's a bad trade.
It's like
in any
CMC
way.
right now. Like, who knows? Is he back in 2 weeks? Theoretically, he's due back in 2 weeks, but is he back then, or is he back in 8 weeks? Is he never come back this year?
I know. A wide range of outcomes.
All right, another trade question then. Let's throw this one out there. This one comes from Smitty's Rebirth. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do Swoop instead.
Okay.
Zay Flowers or Deontay Johnson for your wide receiver 2 this week.
That coin, flip it.
Yeah, I'm going Deontay here.
Deontay.
I'm going Deontay. 29% target share this season. That would be a career high. Huge game last year from the hand of Andy Dalton. And 20% more of the targets are gone with Adam Thielen, who's out. So Johnson's going to be featured.
Not a bad
He's
matchup
good
either,
connection with Dalton. Dalton's just built to just target someone like him. Yeah, I don't know what Cam Taylor-Britt's going to have to say about Deontay Johnson this week because he opens his mouth every week and pays for it. But I'm not worried. I think Johnson is set up for another big game.
What, like you had mentioned, no Adam Thielen this week because of the hamstring. Do you think that we get any Xavier Legette this week as a part of this?
I think fun waiver ad. Yeah, I like him as a waiver ad just to see. Him and John Mingo are going to play a lot more. So you're going to see some David Moore out there. Remember him in Tampa Bay, always catching random touchdowns.
Yep.
So he'll do a little of that. But good like young, high pedigree, first and second rounder Mingo and Legette. Throw him on your bench and see how it goes the next couple weeks.
All right, one more question. This one comes from Smitty's Rebirth. Says, hey, guys, can you rate my trade? I traded away Zach Charbonnet for A.J. Brown.
What?
My running backs are Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. I'm going to assume, I just want to make an assumption.
Wow.
That the A.J. Brown manager also had Ken Walker as his running back. So the idea is like you kind of get the handcuff.
It doesn't matter. Awful trade by the other.
By the other guy. You absolutely
so
fleeced
Smitty's,
this guy.
you crushed it. Yeah,
Yes.
Smitty's Rebirth.
Smitty crushed
If your team was not good, it has been reborn, and it's now awesome.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like Kenneth Walker III is going to play in Week 4.
Yeah, and I mean, look, if he was out for the season, like Walker was out for the season, then it's fine. But based on what Charbonnet's done the past couple of weeks, but I mean, full season, looking ahead, terrible for the other guy. I don't know what he's thinking. That's huge. And by the way, I think A.J. Brown, the Eagles have a bye in Week 5, so I assume he doesn't play this week and then comes back after the bye. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, he might play this week, but nonetheless, I mean, having A.J. Brown Weeks 5 on is huge. So
I got to tell you, it's so funny. Like, I try to be very sensitive to the people that like make clearly objectively terrible trades because it probably indicates somebody who like doesn't entirely know what he or she is doing. Mm-hmm. So like if you had asked me and I was the only person to answer that, I probably would have said like this is a really smart trade by Smitty, like obviously not a great trade by the other person, like maybe one that you rethink about next time. Mike just crushes that.
Just goes right in.
You got to know. You messed up. You got to fix that for next time, all right? You're just talking about Sean McDermott, right? He doesn't come up to the mic all nice.
You're right.
You come up there, you say it how it is, and then you fix it for next time, okay? Check with us next time, all right?
That's right.
The other
Before
person
you make
should
the
have sent us
trade,
the
they should have
question.
sent us the question.
Isn't that the best, though, when we get asked, how's my trade after you made it? Like, that's not
You do feel bad when you're like, I really don't agree with this trade.
I don't
This
answer
was-
those, because what am I going to say? There's no...
I actually could like come up
win.
with like a rules of things. Like when you ask questions, there are certain rules that come along with it. And absolutely unequivocally, number one is if you ask me a question between two players and you want my answer of those two players, your response to my response cannot be why. Like if you say, hey, should I start Brian Robinson Jr. or James Conner this week? And I tell you James Conner, you can't respond with why.
Why start him?
Like, first of all, we get 9,000 of these. If I don't have time to like walk through every single person's thing. Like if you wanted to why, like, are you sure? No, I was just thinking about it and just sort of felt like you knew an answer. Like I don't have all day to explain every single lineup this year. That's my number one rule.
Or you should respond and say, what teams do they play for? I don't
We're talking football or basketball?
Yeah.
We had a question yesterday that closed out the show. I just want to ask it to you, Mike, really quickly. It came from Joe. He said, I have both Detroit Lions running backs on my roster. Can I start both of them in my fantasy?
Right now you can. I mean, they're both, what do we have them, 20 and 13 in our ranks or something like that, 11 and 20, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Points are points.
You're limiting
I
your
prefer
ceiling?
not to. Yeah, you're limiting your ceiling to some extent, but I mean, if you don't have, it's as simple as this: which two are projected higher on your team? Play the Play your best 2 guys. If it's like Montgomery, or if you start Gibbs and then it's like Montgomery or Rashad White, you're starting Montgomery. It's just
how the
Follow the
mighty
rankings.
have fallen.
That's crazy. All right, thanks for hanging
We'll
out with
talk
us,
about that.
guys.
We'll talk about White more at some point. I'm
He's
sure.
a good
But,
candidate to talk about
he's
tomorrow.
he's a fascinating topic right now.
We will revisit the imposter game. Now that we know more of what we're doing, well, I'm sure we'll crush it the second time around.
This is what happens every time we do a game. The first time, it's like, what are we doing? And then we just have to. We need recurring segments.
That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. So,
we'll
by
nail
the
it.
way, coming back tomorrow, volume 2 of Hot Takes.
Yes. Love it. Hot takes
Actually,
tomorrow.
I have a sore throat tomorrow.
No, we're using ice cream rather than hot sauces.
Okay, I'm here. Well, actually, that might not be better for my stomach, honestly.
Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Are you lactose intolerant?
It bothers me a little bit.
Wow.
Really?
So are you a sherbet guy then? Like, what do you do if it's not ice
Yeah,
cream?
sherbet. A couple times a year. I'll have
Froyo?
ice cream.
Okay.
I'm
lactose
on record
tolerant.
about this. Vanilla Greek yogurt over
that's
ice cream.
right.
That's the worst.
Forgot
thing.
about
All right,
Mike's
we got to
terrible
stop.
take. Good call.
Yeah. We should do a segment where Mike's just not on the show, Field. I think that's
Tomorrow.
that would be the recurring segment
I'll
we're
stand
looking
over there
for.
in the corner. I'll stand in the corner with my head in the corner.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I appreciate you doing all this. Don't forget to love each other. Be kind to yourself, and we will see you guys tomorrow. We're going to preview a Thursday night football game. We got a bunch more rankings conversations.
How about them Cowboys?
It's going to be a ton of fun. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Later.